Yeah, hello everyone. Nice to see you all here today. I welcome you and I welcome everyone who will explore this webinar as a recording. My name is Edward Kazakov, and today I will guide you through our new Next.js Web Community Edition release, and we will go the full way from deployment to webmap publishing and QGIS collaboration using Next.js software. It's quite a moment for us because our software has always been open sourced, but now we made a very important step, very significant step for us. We made it much more accessible and available for the wide audience across the globe. And today I will try to show you how to deploy it, how to use it, how to work with it, and how it can help you, how it can improve your geospatial data workflows and drive your geospatial work. I would be glad to discuss it today with all of you. Um, the only request I have is during the webinar itself, I ask you to use chat as a primary way to ask your questions. But after I finish the primary presentation, I would be glad to hear your voice and discuss everything uh, using microphones. Last check if we are good with audio and video and presentation. Please, anybody drop a message to the chat that everything is good and you can see me, hear me, and see my presentation. And if we are good, I will start. Great. Thank you, Alex. Thank you very much. So I will start from short prehistory about who Next.js are. We are just special software developers for 15 years already. Time runs. We work since 2011, and we have our own products. We also perform custom development projects in the geospatial field, and we also have our own geospatial data store. I will cover all the three directions of our work later today. We are now a European company with financial center in Estonia, but our team is remote first and distributed globally. First and the most important direction of our work is development of our own full stack geospatial platform. We develop it, we support it, we integrate it to the real companies, for real clients in very different domains. And what we try to build is some kind of all-in-one, ready-to-go solution for geospatial data, covering all basics from geospatial data collecting in the field, data storing and publishing, and data analysis in desktop.js. Next.js Web Community Edition we will talk about today is the essential core part of our Next.js platform. So that's the main topic for today. We're not only focused on developing our own platform, we also have data store. You can find it on data.nextjs.com, where we bring to life public domain datasets, and you can order different kinds of data, base map, elevation data, land cover data, and many more types of geospatial data sets on each location across the globe. You simply select the territory, select the product you need, and what you receive is a data package ready to be used in any GIS platform on your choice, like QGIS, ArcGIS, MapInfo, PostGIS, etc. You can explore it or we can take a look at it together today. We also take part in custom development projects from time to time, building unique solutions for unique needs. We usually build such custom solutions on the top of our own platform because we believe in our platform, we know it very well, and it's usually much easier to build something custom using our own software than building something from scratch. But if you have any custom development projects, we are happy to discuss and to work together, of course. What is important to know about Next.js is that we are open source company at heart. We are long-term contributors to iconic and most important GIS projects in the world. We are core committers and the largest plugin developers for QGIS. We are also developers and authors of the world's most popular plugin, QuickMap Services, with 11 million downloads already. The QGIS family is our family. We are also core committers and supporters for projects like GDAL and OpenStreetMap. Our platform is largely open source as well. You can find more than 250 public repositories in our GitHub account, Next.js, and all essentials of our platform are free and open sourced. Our WebGIS server, it's our topic for today. Our QGIS integration layer, Next.js Connect, our mobile application for Android, and a lot of different components are open sourced, and it's a part of our not only strategy, but of our worldview and part of how we think things should work. If talk about our platform in terms of particular components, you can see some kind of general schema here on current slide. We have our own WebGIS named Next.js Web as a center of everything, center of all things, the place where data is stored, place where users are managed, etc. And a lot of components connected with this WebGIS core. We use QGIS as a primary desktop tool. We use Next.js Connect, making this QGIS plus Next.js Web environment like the one single context. We have mobile apps integrated with our WebGIS server. We have SDK for developers, and we have a number of helping components. Maybe you know QuickMap Services is public crowdsourcing, geospatial data catalog. We have our own powerful data processing engine named Next.js Toolbox. We have a solution for self-hosting base maps named Next.js GeoServices. And I have already mentioned Next.js Data, the place where you can find ready-to-use datasets for your GIS projects. Today, we will talk about Next.js Web, our open source WebGIS focused on data management. Next.js Web, I believe, quite unique solution, quite unique application because it unites storage, user management, data publishing, and web maps, everything in one place. You don't need to connect different components, store data here, publish data from here, show web maps here. You have everything in one place. And Next.js Web also provides several unique features like data versioning, like GitHub for geospatial data, conflict resolution, permissions management, and a lot of different features. We will cover the most important stuff today. And what is very important for us is that Next.js Web works as a QGIS team space center. So using Next.js Web as a WebGIS in your company, in your lab, or individually, personally, you can turn it easily to the center of your QGIS workflows. A lot of QGIS users can connect to the same Next.js Web server and collaborate on the same data having data versioned, having conflict resolution built in, having web maps to share what they do with stakeholders or citizens or anyone. They have permission management system and user management system built in, and a lot of things working like the single mechanism. So our agenda for today is a full cycle of basics connected to Next.js Web Community Edition. We will take a look on how to deploy Next.js Web Community Edition from scratch to your own server or your own personal computer. Then we will set up the basics inside Next.js Web, create and manage raster and vector layers, publish and set up a web map, publish our data as OGC services, tile services. We will take a look on how to manage users and set up permissions for them. Then we will discover how to work with Next.js Web from QGIS, how to publish your QGIS project, how to connect to the published QGIS project and collaborate on it using our platform. Each section of this presentation would be supported with such slide and a short content for me to have some kind of structure I can use as a reference to keep my presentation more or less structured and smooth. So first thing we are gonna do is to deploy Next.js Web Community Edition on our own server. I will use VPS hosted at some popular VPS hosting provider. I'm gonna use mvps.net. I selected some kind of very simple and cheap server. You can see characteristics here. What is important is that it should have classic architecture x86, x64. For example, we do not guarantee that Next.js Web would work on IRM architecture, for example, but usually it's not a problem at all. I leaving my presentation. So what I have is a very simple server. I bought several weeks ago. You can see that it's quite cheap, and now it's absolutely clear machine. I didn't do anything to it. This password is I changed this password. I believe that's all. It was only thing I did. It has IP address. So my current task is to deploy Next.js Web Community Edition on this virtual server deployed on this IP address. And what I want to get is working Next.js Web instance on this IP address. Very well. I open my SSH client. I use MobiXterm Windows, and I connect to this server. Recently, I've written an article on Dev.to portal, which we can use as a reference on how to deploy this server. And we can also use GitHub repository of Community Edition as a first line reference for this. Let us open it. So I'm go to GitHub Next.js. This is our GitHub place. In main open source project listing, you can find the first project, Next.js Web. Here you can read about its capabilities. You can find all the links, documentation, community forum, different SDKs, examples, sandbox, etc. What we need now is community edition section, where I can switch to the Next.js Web Community Edition repository. This is an official Docker-based setup for running Next.js Web. Here I can find full instructions on how to run it using Docker. So I will follow these instructions, but first thing I want to do is to make sure that my server is up to date, that all basic software is updated. Um, I will copy comments from my own article on Dev.to, and you can use it as well. So first thing to do usually is to update the packages. I simply copy and paste this command, apt update and apt upgrade. Classic Ubuntu command to keep your operation system updated. It's easy. Everything is good and updated. I can proceed with installing Docker. I believe that it has already been installed here on this machine. The only thing I want to check is if Docker Compose plugin is available. So let me check. As far as I can see, uh, it is already the newest version is available. Okay, so everything you need from your server to run Next.js Web Community Edition is to have um, mm, Docker operating system supporting Docker and Docker Compose. Next step is to deploy Next.js Web. You can find instructions here in GitHub repository, or you can follow my article. It could be a little bit more detailed and written for not ninjas, but for regular JS users as myself. So first thing to do is to create a directory where we will host our Next.js Web Community Edition on our server. It would be SRV, NGV, CE folder. Next step is to navigate to this folder and create environment file .env. I prefer to use Nano as a text editor. So I create a new file using Nano and place one environmental variable there with image version number. This number should be taken from GitHub repository. You can find it here in README. So I paste this text, save the document, and leave the text editor. Next step to do is to create Docker Compose file. So again, using Nano, I create docker compose.yaml file and simply copy this content from the article or from GitHub repository. Copy and paste. What's worth mentioning here, it's quite simple Docker Compose file, but you have environment section here. And inside environment section, you can set up environment variables. By default, only one variable is mentioned here, named Next.js Web Core local default. It is set to English. But there are hundreds of environment variables available for Next.js Web. We will try to explore them a little bit later. The main idea I want to communicate now is that if you want to set up your Next.js Web installation, you should firstly manipulate this environment section. For now, I will leave it by default, save the changes, and close text editor. So generally speaking, everything is ready, and I can now run the stack. Let me write the command. It's the very standard one, docker compose up. I run it. I have to wait a little bit because Docker Hub image should be downloaded. The image contains everything you need to run Next.js Web Community Edition. I believe my internet is stable and fast enough for us not to wait too long. And we almost done. I wanted to have a very like natural example. That's why I didn't pre-upload it. Maybe it was a mistake, but let us be optimists. In the meantime, yeah, it's absolutely fine. It was downloaded and my stack has been run. What we have now is very interesting thing. I can use this IP address. We set up 8080 port. So accessing my IP address with this port, that's fine. I should access deployed and enabled instance of Next.js Web. And I can see that it works. Perfect. So we have um, run and fully capable instance of Next.js Web after only 3 commands in our VPS server. Let me check if everything is fine. I should sign in. And after installation, you have default administrator credential, login is administrator, and password is admin, like this. I push sign in, and here I am, logged in into my own freshly baked Next.js Web Community Edition instance. Very well. If you want to um, connect some domain name, if you want to set up TLS to your website with Next.js Web Works with under HTTPS protocol, you can follow this article on Dev.to and find all these sections. I can show you a table of contents. Yes, we can configure reverse proxy and DNS record, add HTTPS, etc., etc. I won't do it now because we are quite happy now with Next.js Web instance available as is using IP address and HTTP. Very well. The only thing I want to show you here is um, how to explore available environmental variables. So you can find this command here. Docker compose run up Next.js Web config. If I will run this command here, I will have the full list of environmental variables available. You can explore this list and use these environmental variables in our Docker Compose file under environment section. For now, we are completely good with default settings, and I won't set up any environmental variables. This default installation is quite universal, and in very general scenario, you can use it as is. Okay, so we have deployed our own Next.js Web Community Edition in, I don't know, 10 minutes. So let's go further. Next step is setting up the basics inside Next.js Web. And I have a short list of things to do here. I want to show you the core concept of Next.js Web. Then we will explore the system information inside Next.js Web instance. Then we will change the administrator password. That's a very important step because default password is quite standard. And we also will set up the name and logo for our badges. So let's go to our deployed instance of Next.js Web, and let's take a look at what we see. What we see here is a resource tree of our badges. And we are currently inside the resource named main resource group having identifier 0. So actually we are now looking at a folder created by default named main resource group. Inside this folder, I can see the list of child resources, and only one resource now is available, default resource named main web map. If I will push main web map, I will see that I changed current view to the resource with identifier 1 placed inside main resource group. And this resource has another type, web map. It has another collection of actions available. Yes, I can display it, update it, clone it, etc. But it's the very similar looking interface, just basically explaining the current resource we are in. So the most important thing you have to know about Next.js Web is that everything is a resource. Folders are resources with their own identifiers. Maps are resources. Layers, vector, raster, and all other kinds of layers are resources, etc. And while we are inside main resource group is just a folder, I have a button named create resource. So inside the context of main resource group, I can create another resources inside. And by pushing create resource button, you can explore the general capabilities of Next.js Web. This is the kinds of resources you can create, and you can see web map, vector and raster layers, base map, different OGC services, connectors and publishers. You can see PostGIS connections and PostGIS layers, etc. So basically, the capabilities of Next.js Web is materialized in the resources you have available. And we will today work with different kinds of resources. We can also create another resource groups. You can think about resource groups about how about folders. So it's a kind of resource to organize your space. For example, I can create new resource group and call it test. Now I am on resource creation dialog. Each resource should have its own display name, and each resource in Next.js Web has its own description. It could be any rich text, and any resource in Next.js Web can have its own metadata. It's unlimited number of pairs, key, value. But most important thing for folder, for example, is a name. So I can create a new folder. I can see that I am inside this folder now. So if I will create new resources here, they will be created inside this folder test. And I can see that this test folder is located inside main resource group folder. So I can navigate back and I can see now this test folder here available to be used, modified, deleted, etc. So when working with Next.js Web, you work with the resource tree. Very well. I believe that this resource concept would be more clear for you later when we will create layers, maps, etc. We not have only this resource tree. We also have another menu to manipulate your WebGIS. You can find in top right corner search panel, using which you can search the resources by their names. You can find your current user. So I can see that I am logged in as an administrator and some user settings are available. Inside user settings, you can change your login and you can see your login and you can select the language you want to use in your WebGIS web interface. A lot of languages are available and you can improve translations and add new translations using our crowdsourcing PoEditor system. Here in documentation, you can find information about how to improve the translation or add your own language. You also have this side menu near the user icon. In this side menu, you have several items. The first item is resources. It will navigate you to this main resource group page. But What is most important here is control panel. It's the place where you can set up everything about your WebJS. You can manage users here. You can set up different components of WebJS. You can manage special reference systems here. First thing for us to do is to explore system information. Here you can find the general information about how your WebJS instance is run and which components are enabled, which are disabled, current file size limits, etc., etc. And you can find the versions for the main packages, Next.js Web and helping components, map server renderer, and QGIS renderer for Next.js Web. If we release a new version of Next.js Web Community Edition, you'll see a message here that an update is available and some link to the instruction on how to update your Next.js Web. Yeah, let's proceed to this change the administrator password section. It's very important. So the first thing you have to do after deploying your own Next.js Web section. I go to the users section of my control panel. And here I see the list of users. I can create and manage users here. For now, only one default administrator user is available. And I can go to the edit and change the name, password, general permissions, default language, and stuff like that. What I want to do now is to assign a new password. It would be something simple. Yeah, something like that. Very well. I save the changes. No thanks. And now we have more more secure environment than we had before. We can also set up basics of how our WebGIS looks like. For example, I can change the name. I will call it Community Edition Demo. The name of WebGIS is what you see here on the left top corner of the interface. And another thing I can set up is a logo. By default, you can see Next.js logo. I can set up some kind of in a second. I have this folder and have some demo simple logo. So I save the changes and now I have custom name and custom logo. There is also custom CSS section available. So you can, using CSS expressions, you can manage colors, fonts, and everything your browser renders for you and your Next.js Web. We won't do it today, but you can explore it on yourself. I believe that's it with basic setup. So we can proceed to the second section, to the third section, create and manage layers. I think that it's the most important one. So we are gonna create and explore vector layers. We will create them using different approaches. And we also will create and explore the raster layer. Let's go step by step. First thing for us to do is to create a new vector layer from file. I go to my WebGIS instance resource tree here, and I will push this create resource button and select vector layer as a resource type I want to create. What you see here is a vector layer creation interface. As any resource creation interface, it has three default tabs. Resource, where you can set up the name, description, where you can set up rich text, and metadata. But two unique sections are now available. First section is vector layer, where we should decide on from which source we want to create our vector layer. And I have three options here. I can create new vector layer from file. I can create empty layer, or I can create a copy from already existing layer. For now, I want to load features from file. And as a file, I will use this GeoPackage file from Natural Earth Data project with world population, populated places with 50 million scale. I simply drag my GeoPackage here. By default, name is used from the file name, and I can set up how I should process my layer features if something is wrong. I can set up how I want to fix errors, geometry errors, for example. I can set up how to handle Z coordinates, multi-geometries, etc. So if you have some complex data, complex keys, here you can set up the process of importing. Also, if your file has several layers inside, for example, GeoPackage can contain several layers, you will have a drop-down menu to select what particular layer you want to import. On the settings tab, we now have only one things to be managed. Is if you want or not to enable feature versioning for this particular layer. By default, feature versioning is enabled. So let me push create button. And what I got is a new resource. I can see that it has identifier number 3. It has its own URL. And I'm now inside this new resource. I can return back to main resource group and see that in my resource tree, new record appeared with this vector layer. So I go inside it. I can see the basic metadata of this vector layer, geometry type, feature count, owner, etc. I can see field structure. We have 4 fields: name, latitude, longitude, and some kind of rank max. It could be a mistake, I believe. I wanted to use pop max. Okay, we will handle it. And on the right panel, you can see available actions, what you can do with this resource. And what is very interesting about vector layers, immediately after being uploaded, they are automatically published using MVT vector tiles protocol. So using this endpoint, you can connect to this layer from any external application supporting Mapbox vector tiles protocol. For example, I can connect this layer to QGIS or ArcGIS or Leaflet, web interface, etc. Let's explore this vector layer a little bit. So first thing I can do is to explore its attributes. I can open a table and I can see the list of features in this vector layer and their attribute values. Here I can see the number of features. I can use text search, for example. I can find for Belgrade, and I can see that 2 features are now shown. I can use advanced filter, as for example, I can create condition to get latitudes greater than 60. Do we have northern cities? Yes, we have a lot of them. So I can mix these 2 interfaces. So I can apply advanced filter and then use text filter to find this city. I can open each particular feature right here and explore it in more detail. I can explore its attributes, I can explore its geometry right here, and some default geometry descriptions. I can edit it right here. So I can set up new values for attributes. I can set up description. I can set up attachment for the feature. Attachments are any files you want to upload, photos, PDF documents, etc. Each feature in Next.js Web can have a limited number of attachments. And I can modify the geometry right here in place in this web interface. So actually what I have after uploading vector layer to Next.js Web is a comprehensive database. So I can work without any web maps. I can modify features. I can create new features, etc. For example, I can create new city here, set up the attributes, select the geometry, and modify the database this way. And it's very interesting and important thing about Next.js that the first and the main purpose of Next.js is to be a storage, comprehensive storage for your data, giving you a lot of tools to manipulate this data even before you publish this data, add it to WebMap or connect to it from QGIS. Um, we also have version history here. I can see that the only one action has been performed by administrator, by me. This layer was created on this date and time. And any actions with this layer would be reflected in this table. So for example, if someone will create a new feature, I will see it here as a new row. And it will be possible to revert to particular version or create copy branches for particular version we're interested in. It gives us a lot of control and safety when working with data by team. When many people work with your data, we will take a look at this mechanism later. I can also export this layer. The export process is widely mm, configurable. So I can select format, coordinate reference system, fields, etc., and I can also set a filter to be applied on the export stage. So I have a lot of tools to work with my vector layer. What I can do now is to use this vector layer on the map because we didn't explain how this layer should look like on the map. And as you can see, we are inside vector layer resource, but we have create resource button here. So we can create something inside. Let's take a look. We can create two child resources inside vector layer. We can create QGIS vector style resource and map server style resource. So Next.js Web supports two these ways to style the data, and we use QGIS styles as a primary way to set up the data. So I can create this QGIS vector style as a child resource, and I can upload QML file here. So I can set up anything I want inside QGIS. And after that, save the style to QML and upload QML here, and it will be used as is in QGIS. As an alternative, I can create simple style right here in this web interface, and I can use some kind of default style, some default points. So, okay, let me use default style. What have just happened is that I created a new resource with identifier 4 located inside my vector layer, located inside main resource group. So now I have this tree. Let's go through it. Main resource group, then vector layer, then inside vector layer, QGIS style. I can create several styles inside vector layer. For example, I can use the same data, but with different styles on different maps or on the same map, if I want. I can perform several actions with this style resource. For example, I can preview it. If I push preview button, I can see how my data looks like when styling with this particular style. So default style in this case is green circles with black stroke. I can edit this style. Let me, for example, create some user-defined style. Let it be red cycles. And now if I go to preview, I will see red circles. What is another interesting thing? I have shown you that after vector layer was uploaded, we got this MVT vector tiles endpoint available immediately. But when I create a style resource inside of it, I got another endpoint automatically generated to access the style data as a raster tiles. So after I created QGIS style or map server style resource, I immediately got this endpoint using which I can connect my data as styled raster tiles to any external application, desktop GIS, web GIS, etc. So without pushing any special buttons, I have already published my data using two ways, raster tiles and vector tiles. That's another interesting feature and advantage of Next.js app. Um, yeah, I think we will discover descriptions and attachments a little bit later. Um, let's do another thing. Let's create a new vector layer, but instead of loading features from file, I will create empty layer right here inside WebGIS. So I can start from scratch without having any files. The only thing I have to select here is a geometry type of this new layer. Let it be a polygon. And let me name it nature conservation zones or something like that. So I created a new vector layer right here. It has no features. It has empty attribute structure, but I can go to resource editing mode, and here I can fully set it up. On the fields tab, I can create as many fields as I want and set up each field in setting name, key name, type of the data, and three basic settings. So for example, I will create only one field. I will name it name with key name name. A display name is what users see on the web map in attribute tables, etc. And key name is what is actually stored inside database. So display name could be, I don't know, as alias using, I don't know, Chinese, Cyrillic, and any symbols you want. And key name should be Latin only. And let it be string and label attribute. Yeah, so now I have structure for this new vector layer I want, and I can go to this table. I can create new feature. Let it be, I don't know, Frushka Gora, my favorite national park nearby me, and I can create some kind of geometry for this new feature. Here we are, we created a layer and we created a new feature inside of this layer without any desktop GIS, without creating web maps right here in web interface. It's quite interesting mechanics, in my opinion. And I can preview how my layer looks like. It looks like this. Very well. Next step is to create a raster layer. Let's go to the resource tree of my WebGIS. I can quickly move to this interface by pushing the icon. I push create resource button and select raster layer. Um, if we working with raster layers, I can only upload the rasters or attach them from external storages. We support S3, AWS S3 external storages to store and connect rasters from. For now, I will simply upload raster from file. I have a nice orthophoto of Comune di Trento in Italy. Sorry for my pronunciation. So I simply drag and dropped my GeoTIFF file with raster layer. Then uh, I don't need to do anything else. I push create button. And what I got is a new resource typed with type raster layer with its own identifier. And I can see the all basic metadata, number of bands, type of these bands, pixel dimensions, etc. And automatically after uploading this raster, I got another published endpoint. So I can, using this point, I can connect this raster data to external applications using cloud optimized GeoTIFF protocol. Let me preview this raster layer. It's a little bit strange with default preview, but we didn't create any style explaining how this raster layer should look like. So I can go to create resource inside this raster layer resource. And I can also style my rasters using QGIS raster styles. Right now, I will simply create default QGIS style. New resource has been created with number 7. Yes, inside my community Trento orthophoto raster layer resource. And I can preview it. And I can see pretty looking, very nice orthophoto map. Very well. So we have created raster layer. There is not much things we can do with raster layers because they're rasters. We can export them with we can select format, we can select coordinate reference system, and we can select bands we want to use for export. Next.js Web supports rasters of any configuration. You can have 100 bands raster and whatever you want. Uh, okay, very well. We created and managed several layers. Next step is to publish a web map. Let's create a web map with these layers we created and set it up and explore what we can do with this web map. I return back to my WebGIS interface. I create new resource typed web map. Web map is a container for different resources like vector and raster layers, PostGIS layers, WMS layers, and other kinds of layers. I will call it demo web map. And under the layers tab, I can build layer 3 of my web map. So I can add new layers. Pay attention that I can't add the layer itself because layer itself doesn't contain information about how it should look like on the map. It contains the data. I should go inside the layer and select the style I want to use. Because each layer can have a lot of styles, usually you have to select the proper style, like considering the right style you want to use. To make this process simpler, you have this button named Select First Eligible Child Resource, by pressing which the first style would be selected automatically. So usually this process looks like pushing these buttons because usually you have only one style inside each layer and you don't want to go inside, select, etc. You can use this fast button. So I selected these two layers and I added them, and I can set up both of these layers how they should appear on map. Yes, I can set up the names, I can set up scale limits, I can set up transparency and a lot of different stuff. I won't go into too many details now. I can set up base maps here, and to set up base maps, I should create a base map resource before doing that. We don't do it for now. I can set up a lot of settings here. Let me set up initial extent. I can set it up manually. I can set it up interactively using the map, and I can set up it using layer, particular layer extent, or I can push this button to compute extent from all edit layers automatically. I can also set up constraint extent using the same tools, and I can set up custom title for my web map. Let it be web map 1. That's it for now. I can also set up description. Let's some description for you to see how it looks like on the web map. It could be rich text with images if I want. And you can also set up how your web map should look like in social media previews. That could be quite helpful feature. So let me create this web map. Web map resource has been created. You can create as many web map resources as you want. It has its own ID. And what makes web maps like special is their special mode named display. Web maps could be displayed. So I push display button, and what I got is my map, my layers on this separate URL you can use in exploring mode. So I can see my cities styled with these red dots. You can see the layers tree. Let me zoom to my orthophoto. Yes, I can see and explore orthophoto here. And this web map is usually an end user interface. So your users, people who work, explore the data, usually they will work with such built-in web maps. Let us explore the capabilities of these web maps a little bit. So on the left side, you have different panels. You can switch between them. First panel is layers, where you can see the list of layers you set up inside your web map settings. Here you can explore legends. Each layer has context menu where you can zoom to layer, open its feature table if it's vector layer, set up if it should be identifiable or not, set up transparency, and filter the data. Let me try to set up simple filter. For cities, for example, I want to see only cities located north to 50th degree. Here I am. Yep. So we have filter builder. You can build complex expressions using different operators, uniting your expressions to groups with all or any conditions, etc. So it's quite powerful mechanism available to you. And you can click on features and identify them, get the attribute values and stuff like that. So everything you can expect from the basic web map interface. You also have a number of interactive tools here. Zoom in, zoom out. You have vertical swipe. Vertical swipe allows you to do this thing. Select layer you want to hide. Select the layer you want to hide, push this swipe button and explore, compare it with other layers. You have tools to measure lengths and areas, and you can set up the coordinate reference system you want to use for these measurements. You can also activate this button, and it will show you current mouse position. Current mouse position or current extent. Very well. So what else we can do with the web map? We can search for features. I believe Belgrade could be hidden. No, it is available here. Yes, we can find the city because it is available inside our cities layer. And we can also use general OpenStreetMap-based data search. So you can see that I found some places in United States, etc. A public nominative instance is used for this search, and you can disable it in your control panel if you don't want to have it, or you can set up your own local geocoding instance to be used for this search. This panel contains description we set. You can use hyperlinks, images, and rich text to form the description for your web map. And you have printing and share panels, very important panels. In share panel, you can copy this shareable URL. You can copy the embeddable code if you want to embed this map to your website. And you can set up how this embedded web map should look like, which tools should be available on the embedded web map, which panels should be available, etc. Okay, what I wanted to show you here is how we can manipulate features. So if I select the feature and I am logged in as editor, administrator, and current context, I can go to editing mode for each feature. And here I can manage descriptions, attachments, and attributes. Let me show you how attachment works. I have a couple of files here. Photo and PDF document. I can upload them here. Yes, I can set up descriptions, etc. And these features are now connected to these attachments are now connected to this particular feature. And I can work with them. Photos and panoramas could be previewed right here on the web map, and PDF documents could be opened in neighbor tab, and you can keep any types of attachments, for example, AutoCAD files and schemas or anything you want. So this attachments system is also very helpful and can enrich your data significantly. Okay, I think that we are fine with the map. Maybe the last thing I want to show you now is how you can set up the printing. So if I switch to the printing mode, I can widely set up the paper size. I can enable the legend. I can enable the title. And what is very important, the elements of this layout, they are interactive. So I can set up them in the way I want. So you can move the legend, move the map, move the title, move everything, and set up the view you want to see. Okay, we can discuss the web maps in more detail later if you want, but for now I think it's enough. Let's speed up a little bit. Next thing I want to show you is how to publish data as a service. We have already explored that vector layers and styles and raster layers are automatically published after being uploaded or created inside Next.js web interface. Let me show you again. Any vector layer is automatically published as Mapbox vector tiles, and any style is automatically published as a tile map service at the point. And every raster is published as cloud optimized GeoTIFF without any additional actions from our side. But we can also publish the data using another protocols. We can publish the data using WFS, WMS, and OGC API features services. So let me create, for example, new WMS service, and let me publish these two layers we have created in WebGIS. This is a regular resource creating interface. Only one new tab now, WMS service, and I can select which layers I want to publish. WMS is mapping service. It delivers image, not features. So I can't select layers itself, but I can create styles. So I want to publish cities, and I want to publish uh, my orthophoto with this WMS service. So I selected two layers to be published. I can set up how they should be the names for the both layers, and let me just create. I think I should set up different key names. Let it be cities and let it be ortho. Yeah, I created a new WMS service, and what I got is three automatically created endpoints to access these datasets using WMS or WMTS services. Let me copy this WMS service, go to QGIS, go to a WMS layer, create a new connection, use this URL. Something wrong. I can't copy it because browser security policy. You can use it only on HTTPS website, so I copy it manually. And because I didn't set up any permissions yet, um, I should use some authentication here. My administrator credentials. Let's check if it works. So I created new connection. Yes, I can see both layers available. Let me connect both of them. Here I have my cities. Let me wait a little bit. I will enable a, yes, they are being rendered. Yes, my cities, and somewhere in Italy, I can find my orthophoto map. Let me disable base map. Okay, we saw that it renders. It takes time for some reason. Maybe because my server is very simple and weak. So the same way WFS and OGC API feature services works, but in their case, it's important that we publish not style but features themselves. So for example, I can publish this nature conservation zones layer as an OGC API feature service. And again, using this endpoint, I can go to QGIS and add this data using the same authentication. Connect. Here is my layer. I can edit, and I should see my Frushka Gora feature, yes. And because I connected as administrator, I can even edit this data. And these edits are now sent to the server. Very well. Very well. So we explored how to publish the data using WMS or GCAPI features. It's quite easy. You only have to create a dedicated type of resource to publish the data. And you can create as many WMS services as you want, as many OGC services as you want. So you can easily turn your Next.js web to some kind of data publishing machine. Next section is user management. We will create a new user and set up permissions for him and then test him. I go back to my WebGIS. I open this menu and go to Control Panel. Here on Control Panel, I go to Users section and push Create button. I want to create new user named Edward with some simple password. You can use groups, create groups, and put users to the groups, but I won't do it now. I will simply create this new user, Edward. I have him now in my control panel. And what I want to do is set up permissions for him to access my WebJS. I want him to be able to edit this nature conservation zones layer, but not any other layers. But he must be able to see everything, but edit only this layer. What I want to do, how I going to do that? Uh, Being inside main resource group, this is root folder of my WebGIS, I go to editing mode of it. And here I have permissions tab. Here I can formulate permissions for each resource in my WebGIS. Now we are formulating permissions for this folder main resource group. One permission has already been created here by default, allowing administrators to do everything with everything. I can create new permissions by creating rules. What I want to do is to create a new allowing rule for Edward to be able to read all resources inside this folder and in sub-resources. As long as this main resource group is at root folder, by doing this, allow Edward to do everything, to read any resource in my WebGIS. I also want to grant him read data permission and uh, use connection permission. Maybe something else. Access services. Okay. Okay, let me save permissions. I will open Incognito tab, access the same WebGIS instance, and log in as Edward. As you can see, I can see all the resources, but I can't edit them or delete them. I can only explore them. For example, I can open this demo web map and see the layers we added to it. Now I want to extend possibilities, permissions of Edward. I want to give him the right to edit this nature conservation zones layer. I go to the editing mode of this layer. I find the permissions tab and I allow Edward to do everything he wants with this resource. I save the changes. I go back to my incognito tab, update my page, and I can see that now I can modify and even delete. No, I can delete. I can modify this layer, and I can, for example, create new features inside. I can draw something and create save changes, and now I can see that I have two features. And I can see that in versions history, I have a new row where this feature creation is mentioned. Very well. That is how user management and permission management system works in general. You can set up permissions very flexibly because you can set up them specifically for each separate resource. This layer should have these permissions, this another set of permissions, etc. So it's quite powerful, and you can simply set up anything you want using it. And the last part of
Sorry, Edward. Can I ask you one question?
sure, yeah, Andrea.
If I want to open a web map without make user and password, but open a web map to all user, what I do?
Thank you, Andrea, for this question. When setting up permissions, you have so-called meta users. So you have named users, yes, but you also have this kind of special meta users, and one of them is guest. So guests is not authorized visitors of your WebGIS. So I can allow for guests, for example, to read resources and read the data. If I make this setup, let me show you. I can log out from Edward, and I can see that I can read. I am a guest, but I can read the WebGIS structure, and I can access the web map. So if you want to set up permissions for visitors, not authorized people, you simply use this guest principle when setting up permissions.
Thank you, thank you.
Thank you. Very well, let's move forward. Next thing is working QGIS integration. I will try to be quick. What we want to do first is to establish connection between QGIS and Next.js Web, publish a QGIS project, and explore the published project in Next.js Web. Inside QGIS, I have a project for a very nice Polish city, Płock. This project is quite, how to say, full furnished. It has a lot of complex styles. You can see that points are cluster points. If I will go to style, I will see that colors are dependent on map dependent expressions and stuff like that. So in these projects, full capacity of QGIS styling is used. Geometry generators, expression-based colors and sizes, cluster points, and custom SVG icons. For example, in the road crossing and bicycle roads layers, you can see that this project is quite complex. What I want to do is to publish this project and uh, access it as a web map, and then collaborate on this project with other people, edit it together, etc. First thing I have to do is to install integrating plugin named Next.js Web. Sorry, named Next.js Connect. So I am search for Next.js Connect plugin here and install it. I got this panel where I have to establish a connection to my WebJS. I push create a connection button. I copy this address. I call it GVCE, and I select I should provide credentials to access test connection. Invalid credentials. Let me check. Administrator. Okay, administrator, of course. Test connection again, connection successful, save it. And what I see here is a resource tree of my WebGIS, but inside QGIS. And I can manipulate my resources right from QGIS. You can find rich context menu using which you can create and publish services. You can manipulate your layers, published, etc., 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 or open them in WebJS to manage them there. For example, I can quickly switch to from QGIS representation of resource to web representation of the resource. But what I want to do now is to publish my project, and I can do it very, very easily. I only need to push one button, upload all. I push upload all button, enter name, Plotsk, and project is now being uploaded to the WebJS. Layer by layer, style by style, we fully reconstruct our project inside our WebJS instance. We not, for example, create a image representation of our project. We will store all the data in our WebJS. We will store all the styles inside our WebJS, etc. Even your settings of custom forms, for example, for road crossings, I have special attribute forms set up. You can see value map for crossing attribute. You can see checkbox widget for repairment, and these settings they would be remembered for other QGIS users working with your product with your project. The project export has been finished. And what I got is a new web map resource looking exactly the same as my parent QGIS project. Um, there is no compatibility layer between styles in QGIS and Next.js Web. We use QGIS to render your map, and it ensures almost full compatibility between QGIS map styles and web map styles. You can see the legend looking the same with the same categories. You can navigate, you can turn on and turn off categories inside layer, etc., etc., etc. And uh, that's what we almost exactly what we wanted. So now let me return back to my WebGIS administrating interface. I have Plotsk folder. In this Plotsk folder, I can see a lot of newly created resources, vector layers, raster layers, base map resources, and most important, web map resource. I can work with this stuff separately from QGIS. So I can go to the vector layer, I can uh, open it I can delete features, I can add features, I can do anything I want because now it's independent database stored in Next.js Web. And you have a web map, like copying your QGIS project. Very well, yes. Let me move forward and show you next step. For example, you have colleagues who want to collaborate with you on this project. They want to connect to it from QGIS and, for example, um, modify features, create new features, delete features, etc. I will connect to this project on behalf of other person. This Edward we created just to show you that you can Jesus, what I have done. I should use this address. Julie Edward and Julie Edward. Test connection successful. Okay. I will give Edward permissions to work with this folder, Plotsk, full permissions. And now I will connect to this WebJS as Edward. And I will close the project. Imagine that this is another person in another computer from another corner of the earth. For I will no cache, okay? And what I can do as this collaborator, I can find this Plotsk project published. I can work with separate layers. I can connect to separate layer, but I can also connect to the whole web map. When I connect to the whole web map, I reconstruct the project as it was initially. So basically, you will see that the whole project we published will be reconstructed from scratch based on data stored in Next.js Web. You can also see that our layers are not simply downloaded, but some special icon here is available, uh, telling us that layer is now synchronized with WebJS. So we have a bridge between our local reconstructed project and our database in Next.js Web. Let me wait for the whole project to be synchronized. It's quite a big project, so we have to wait a little bit. In the meanwhile, I wanted to show you that um, in this project we have raster layers, not only vector layers, and they've been uploaded without any problems. This is the georeferenced map. You can see a georeferenced map of some election statistics, as far as I understand, in Poland. And we have Sentinel-2 image. And raster datasets, they are identifiable as vector. So I can click into pixel and get the values contained in pixel in all the bands. It's like quite nice possibility. Okay, my project has been rebuilt, and I can work with it in QGIS as I do. For example, I can select some layer and make a couple of edits. I enable editing mode. And let me create, for example, a new building. I can use all QGIS capabilities to draw the data, any plugins, etc. I work in native QGIS environment. For now, I will simply create some artificial building here. I create some artificial building. I should set up some attribute value, I guess, for it to be visible. Building, yes, okay. So let me do it again. Building, yes. Yeah, now it's visible. I save the changes. I can see that layer is synchronized. I go back to my web map. And what I can see here is that this building appeared here immediately. I can do the same thing, but in other direction. If I enable, in web map settings, I can enable layers editing. So I can edit the data directly on the web map. Now I have this edit button here in the building in the layer context menu. I activate editing mode. I create a new building somewhere here. New building here, yep. Building, yes. Save changes, stop editing. And this building, after synchronization run automatically, and I can see this building in my, here it is, in my QGIS instance. So when tens of people work on the same data, you can see each other's changes, everything is synchronized, and even if several person edit the same feature, you will be able to handle this as a conflict resolution. We have special interface for resolving the conflicts. I can show you if you want. Let me modify this building both in web interface and in QGIS, but in different ways. This way and this way, for example. I save changes in one place and I save changes in another place. And what happened? System recognized conflict resolution. I can see the conflict and I can decide which version should be used. For example, this version is true. So I used this version and it has been applied automatically, both to my local QGIS and to the web map viewer. So this is how you can connect to the published data from QGIS, edit server stored data in QGIS, and work in this team environment. We can also do the following thing. I can open this buildings layer in WebGIS instance. I can go to versions history. I can see these two changes, yes, from Edward and from administrator. And if I think that both these changes were wrong, trash, mistakes, I can simply revert to the initial version. And now I can see that I have new version restored based on the data from my initial version. And these buildings, uh, after synchronization, they are gone. Both this one and this one. So I have full control if one of my editors made mistake, corrupt the data. I don't worry about it. I can always roll back changes and continue my work. Okay. What else I wanted to show you? Yes, update web map style from QGIS. For example, you want to make these buildings look another way. You can easily do it right from QGIS interface. Let me show you. I go to the layer. I switch to some simple style. I don't know, some red polygon. Yes, all my buildings now are red polygons. And what I have to do is to find the same layer buildings here in NextJS Connect panel, find its style. Yes, I have different options available here, but I can also find NextJS Connect section here in native layer context menu. And here I have an option to update layer style. I push this simple button, return back to my web map, and my buildings now appear differently. So it's very easy to manipulate the styles, the maps, right from QGIS. And the default scenario of how people work with it, GIS analysts and editors work from QGIS, and some managers, they work with web maps, immediately seeing what editors did. So that's the uh, main point of our QGIS collaboration mechanism. We have already triggered the conflict. You have seen it, and we have already explored the data version history and rolled back changes. So I believe we are good with this collaborate on the published project section. Uh, on this note, my demonstration is over. What I wanted to add is you may have questions, of course. For example, there are great open source GIS solutions on the market, GeoServer, MapServer, MapStore, PostGIS, and others, and we love them. We use them as a GIS specialist, etc. So why should we want to use Next.js Web, another open source GIS server? In our opinion, we have three unique features comparing to these good solutions. First thing is that we have all-in-one solution, like data storage built in, user management, permission management built in, data publishing using protocols, styles, etc. built in, web maps built in. So you have everything in one box. And most of popular different open source solutions, they cover only one component. For example, you have to store data in PostGIS, to connect this PostGIS data to GeoServer, to publish them via OGC protocols, and then create web maps in MapStore based on this GeoServer published data. You have big ecosystem of services. It's hard to maintain, etc. And Next.js Web is a all-in-one solution. Second thing is enterprise level features out of the box, especially with data version control and conflict resolution. You have to work a lot to set up something similar, for example, in PostGIS, especially for data version control. And using Next.js Web, you have them out of the box, ready to be used. And in our opinion, we have state-of-the-art QGIS integration, making working from different QGIS instances seamless and very efficient. Without for regular editor, the work with your project looks very simple. He open Next.js Connect panel, he push one button, add to QGIS, and start working. Nothing else. He only need to connect to prepared and published project. And that's a big thing in our opinion. And also full QGIS style support is also very important. You don't have to do SLD, Kung Fu, or write GeoCSS styles and stuff like that. You just set up your styles using rich QGIS builder, using all its power, and that's it. You can see the same styles in all your web maps. Very well. The last slide, how to get started with Next.js platform. Yes, it's open sourced. Everything I show you today is open sourced. Core components are available. We made this demonstration using Community Edition. We deployed it together, so you saw everything. Feel free to use it. But if you want like more ready solutions or professionally deployed solutions, take a look at our options. We have cloud service, so you can create your own professional deployed WebGIS right now in 5 minutes to get your own like hosted WebGIS instance with some additional functionality. And you can use our on-premise deployment solutions with enterprise level support, enterprise level deployment in any network of any complexity, etc. So if your tasks are like production level, we recommend you to use our commercial services. If you're more research, exploration, etc., feel free to use and enjoy Community Edition. We like it, and we will do our best to provide good experience with Community Edition. That's it from my side. Thank you very much for your attention. Thank you very much, everyone who will explore this webinar on YouTube. And now we have time for questions and answers and discussions. Thank you.